at times suspicious of a place a bit too friendly, a bit too clean and beautiful. There must be a dark underbelly. What am I saying? LaPaz, I like it. Hello everybody, Andy from the Timeless Travel Club, and as you can tell, I've caught a bit of a cold here in LaPaz. Don't get me wrong, it's been great so far. I want to apologize up front because it has been about a month and a half. I've only put out about 2 videos, so as soon as I get over this cold, I'm going to kick it in high gear and go back to the 1 video per week goal that I always have. But yeah, it's been tough getting here. I've had some obstacles. First off, I always schedule too much time at home and I get caught up with doing home things. Yeah, I would say a little bit of laziness will kick in, but now I'm back on the road, and another thing I need to change is I need to not spend as much time on the road. Maybe 2 months and then maybe 2-3 weeks at home. I think that schedule will keep me on task. But now that I'm here in LaPaz, the name really is fitting. It is a peaceful little town. The Malecon is like none I've ever seen before. There are so many young people learning how to skate here because the surface area is so smooth. The locals tell me that the surge of tourism happened about 3 or 4 years ago, so this Malecon is pretty new. In fact, any Mexican city that wants to model a perfect Malecon, they need to come to LaPaz because this is what it's all about here. It just flows so well with the restaurants on one side divided by the street, and the bicycle path runs parallel, runs side by side, and it runs pretty good. On the other side of the bicycle path is the walkway, so the promenade, I should call it. The promenade and the bike path, the construction is underway right now to continue it out towards the outer beaches, the Balandra, and I forget the name of the other beach, but although it's about another mile or 2 out, a lot of people are already biking out there, and it's really not safe because the road's pretty narrow. I wouldn't advise it. But here's some things that I recognize about this Malecon. Here, as opposed to most Mexican cities, pedestrians have the right of way, or they seem to. Every time I walked into the crossing zone, the car stopped. I might have just been sitting there waiting for somebody, and they'll stop to see, do you want a path? Do you want to cross? And yeah, I was very impressed with that. There's no excessive honking. That's one thing that I do not appreciate in Mexico, is the way that people like to lay on that horn. I haven't heard a horn honked yet. So kudos to LaPaz in that regard. What else do I like about this place? I haven't seen stray dogs here. There are many dogs. They're either on leash or they're well heeled, but no stray dogs. I haven't seen a lot of people begging for money. I'm sure they have their poor area as well as any city these days, but I don't know, maybe it's because there is another larger tourist city an hour or 2 away. That's probably where they go, as well as vendors. There's not there are no vendors on the Malecon. There is a little market, maybe 2-3 blocks in what they call the downtown. While the Malecon has an awesome bike path, I would not recommend taking your bike into town. There are no Starbucks on the Malecon, no Starbucks in the tourist area. Do you believe that? And since my hotel doesn't have very good Wi-Fi, I needed to find a Starbucks fast. So I looked on the map and it was a couple miles into town, so I started trekking out there, and I turned back after a while because, like I said, there's a mosquito that wants to land on my nose. Yeah, difficult to navigate on a bicycle. Making a living on YouTube, I've been asking everybody, where can I find a restaurant that has a good Wi-Fi or a bar? And they will typically give me the name of a restaurant, but with a shrug that goes along with it. It's like, yeah, they have Wi-Fi over there. So while the Malecon is fairly new, you know, the city is not that old either by comparison to with a lot of other Mexican cities. In fact, well, it does have its Hernan Cortez moment. He showed up, let me look at my notes here real quick. Hernan Cortez, he showed up on May 3rd, 1535 with the intentions of starting a new colony, but he abandoned it because it's kind of really off of the main body of Mexico, and the terrain isn't all that great. So it wasn't until the year 1596 when Sebastian Vizcaíno showed up, and he's the one that actually named the town LaPaz, but he abandoned it as well. LaPaz is a desert area, and it can get quite hot here, so yeah, it was left for another couple of hundred years. It wasn't until the 1800s, 1811, I believe, when the pearl industry here really took off and really put La Paz on the map. And in 1830, it became Baja California's capital. But as I mentioned before, there's construction that's heading out to the Playa Balandra, which I went to yesterday. What a beautiful beach this is, Playa Balandra. I took an Uber out. You can catch a bus on the Malecon. I don't know, I'm sure it's gonna be cheap, 20, 60, 80 pesos. I paid 120 pesos for an Uber driver that took me directly there. Bit of advice, do not go to Balandra on the weekend. It's not overly crowded like a lot of beaches, but it doesn't have that remote feel that beaches like this should have. But dummy me, I overdressed with camera gear, not knowing what to expect. I was gonna shoot some drone shots, I was gonna use my stabilizer, I was gonna get some good B-roll for y'all. No place to set up. I couldn't really enjoy the water. I couldn't go in the water because I'd have to leave my equipment on the beach, and there's just too many people walking past. So yeah, I stayed on the shore. I walked in a little bit. There was a nice family that agreed to watch my bags after a while, but yeah, I could have appreciated it more. There is another beach, I think it's Pichilingue. You know, it's not as popular as Balandra. It's not as big. It's beautiful. There's some industrial buildings off to the left side. There's a military base down there, but at least they have a restaurant nearby. They have, you can rent kayaks. So I might do that if I still have the time before I leave. I would definitely highly recommend Balandra getting out there on a weekday if you come to La Paz. It is a cannot miss. I couldn't get my drone up. The wind was too unpredictable. You're kind of in a mountainous, deserty area, so there's like little wind funnels that blow through here and there, and I just didn't want to risk it. Besides, there is a couple of treks you can walk up. You know, the mountain goat in me, I had to climb to the very top, and you can get some nice shots, nice aerial shots of the beach. If you just want to go to the beach, I would recommend some beach shoes. Flip-flops won't, if you want to navigate through the rocks a little bit, flip-flops aren't going to cut it for you. So some shoes that you can walk in both sand and in the water. But if you want to climb up flip-flops definitely is not going to work for you. It can get a little treacherous up there. But there is a nice view to be had up on top. Also below, even though there's not a restaurant, there are a couple of fruit vendors. The fruit looks pretty fresh. Of course, there's a souvenir vendor, but there are no restaurants. Not yet, anyway, maybe in time. Overall, LaPaz, I'm glad I came to LaPaz. You know, it's so beautiful. When you're in the Yucatan, you see the turquoise, the different colors of blue in the ocean and at the beach, and they have that here in LaPaz, but it's with the backdrop of Arizona. So LaPaz is kid-friendly, LaPaz is pet-friendly. If you have limited mobility, it is friendly to you as well.